Howdy, howdy. Welcome back, everybody, to Lake Mead. Today, we are going to go and see if the Higgins boat is above water yet. And then after that, stay tuned because I am going to go up along the Hemingway wall here and see if I can find another boat wreck I haven't visited yet before. It is about a balmy 90 degrees here, slight wind, so it feels great. It's cooled down a little bit. I'm going to take advantage of the cooler temperatures before the heat is back, and we're going to go on a little visual update today. Let's go. So I'm right at the water line here in a rapidly drying up area, as you can see from this little inlet behind me. If I start to pan this way, you can see that the water has all gone out of here. And that's why I'm in this area, because I know you all enjoy seeing the data-driven live streams where we go through all the facts and the numbers and the news stories. But also at the same time, it's nice to just get a visual representation of what's actually happening out here, boots on the ground. You know, I could say it's dropped a foot, it's dropped 2 feet, but until you actually come out here and see the changes, like this little inlet right here, sometimes it doesn't mean much. So that's what we're doing today. And if you look behind me, you can see this is a very barren looking area, but as I pan in this direction, all the salt cedar and tamarisk is overgrown right here behind me. So this is an indication of how fast the water has left this little area, because all this barren stuff here was underwater just 1 or 2 weeks ago. And that's how fast we're losing water here at Lake Mead. It's going down about a foot a week. And as I keep pointing out in our live streams, that rate is expected to drop even faster as we get into the heat of summer. So let's go see if we can find the Higgins boat, because I was just out here 2 weeks ago and the Higgins boat was not above water yet. It had about a foot to go. So I think it will be above water today. The question is just how much, and then I can start to use the Higgins boat to do those good before and afters that you all like to see. So we're gonna make our way around a couple of these fingers, these little drying up inlets, and get a eyes on of the Higgins boat today here at Lake Mead. And well, folks, that didn't take long at all. Just another 2 weeks. And here we have it. Higgins boat is officially above the water once again. And unfortunately, it looks like it's in pretty bad shape. The back of it there is just crumbling. And you can see pieces have fallen off here. And a lot of that happened back in 2023 because it had gone above the water and then back under the water. And unfortunately, when it comes out the first time, it seems like, well, it's underwater, it's preserved, it's kind of sealed by that cool Colorado River water. But once the water drained and it came out into the sun, it kind of dries the wood out and chaps it all out, and then it starts to crumble like sawdust. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like Higgins is going to fare very well when the water level drops here. In just a couple more weeks, this will probably be fully exposed sitting on the land once again. So let me get some zoom shots. I'm going to take a couple photos while I'm here, and then I will use that to do our before and after as we progress throughout the summer. And then we'll go around here like last time and we'll take a closer look on the other side of the Higgins boat. And from this perspective, you can really see how that about 1.5 to 2 foot drop has affected the water levels in this little inlet right here. So last time we were out here about 2 weeks ago, Higgins was not only underwater, but also the shoreline was about here covering the top of the boat. So what I always point out on our live streams when we do the water level updates is that a drop in 1 foot in elevation vertically draws the shoreline out about 5, 10, 15 feet every time. And because of the canyon's deep V shape, the more water we lose here, the faster it's going to go out. And this is a very good representation of that. You can see, like I pointed out, we've gone down about 1.5 feet, 2 feet, but from Higgins to the shoreline is about 10 or 15 feet. And that's the difference of the water leaving vertically versus exposing more shoreline here. And as of today, we are at 1,044 feet in elevation. So we are at the same level as our live stream from over the weekend, just a few days ago. We've lost about maybe 1/4 foot since then. However, at 1,044 feet today, we are only 4 feet away from the lowest level Lake Mead has ever been since it's been filled. So that is one number we are watching, is at 1,044 foot level, because that is going to drop us to another historic low in Lake Mead's history. And not only that, after 1,040 feet, like we point out on the live stream again, the power generation capabilities around the bend at Hoover Dam are starting to be highly affected at 1,035 feet. So after we drop below 1,040 feet, then we're going to be watching at 1,035 feet, because Hoover Dam could lose up to 40% of its power generating capabilities. So losing water very fast here, unfortunately, but it's just as the USBR was predicting, because of not only Lake Powell upstream choking off its flows down here to Lake Mead, but also the demand downstream and our releases during the peak of the summer when there is high demand downstream in California and Arizona. So Lake Mead is kind of getting pinched at both ends right now, and it's kind of suffering because the USBR is still sacrificing Lake Mead to keep Glen Canyon Dam power plant online up at Lake Powell. So going to be very interesting and probably shocking to see what happens here at Lake Mead this summer and next summer. So if you like those good data-driven updates, make sure to join us for our live stream. That's when we go through all the good news stories and the numbers and everything. Like I pointed out at the beginning of this video though, sometimes it's also good just to come down here and see the changes visually, you know? And once again, see where this green new growth is? That's because the water level was just very recently up here. Obviously this invasive salt cedar or tamarisk, it can't grow when it's underwater and it's all flooded, it gets rotted out. So as soon as the water level recedes, you can see it starts greening up and it starts sprouting, and then behind it is the more mature stuff. So all this rock ledge you see right in front of us was very recently underwater in the last few weeks. And if I pan this way, you can see this ledge is above my head. So this is an indication of how fast we're losing water down here. And it looks like, if you can see it on the video here, I'll get a zoom shot, but it looks like the back hatch came open, because I don't remember that being open like that, but now it is down in the vertical position. Before, when the boat wreck came up, it was still latched and shut. So I'm wondering if that happened naturally, or if maybe someone was coming down here and fooling with it and broke something and it opened up like that. But here is the other side of Higgins right here. We've also had folks ask in the comments if they think that the Park Service is going to remove the Higgins boat once it gets fully above water, because like we showed over in the boat wreck graveyard in Boulder Harbor, they pulled out a bunch of boat wrecks when the water level was low over the last 1 or 2 years. So they've really been on a cleanup spree with the new superintendent here at Lake Mead. So it will be interesting to see if they do try and pull Higgins out. Unfortunately, I think it would be like a Skyward situation. For those of you that don't know, you can go check out our high water level hike video. What happened is when they tried to pull Skyward out, it snapped in half because the engine was mired in the silt, and that's why it was Skyward. That's where it got its name, because the engines were anchoring it into the silt there. So I think we might have a similar situation if the Park Service does try and remove Higgins. There aren't very many of these left. There was a ton of them built by Higgins Industry, but there's only a couple survivors, and this is one of them. It would have been nice to see it preserved. Unfortunately, I think it might just be too late for the Higgins boat unless there was some way to do like a full restore on it. But at this point, as you can see from the condition of it, they'd probably have to just break it all apart and rebuild it basically from the ground up anyways. So kind of sad. I'm going to get some shots of the Higgins boat for our before and after comparison so we can keep track of how fast the water level is dropping here. And then we are going to start heading up towards the Hemingway wall and look for the second boat wreck, which is way up there in the hills. And that's going to give you an even better perspective of how deep Lake Mead used to be. All right, so I've come up to a little high point here, and you can see Higgins in the middle of the brush behind me right here, just trying to get my bearings straight. And behind there is the Big Boulder Islands. And I'm gonna, just for perspective, I'm gonna do a little zoom shot there because that is where the high water level line used to be back in the 80s and 90s. All right, it used to be almost to the top of the Big Boulder Islands here. And I'm still heading this direction towards the high water line on this side of the harbor. And what's interesting is right above there, you can see the historic railroad trail. This is where we go biking and hiking. That's where the old railway went out to the Hoover Dam with all the materials and supplies. And as I do a zoom, you'll be able to see below that where the high water line was, way up on the Hemingway wall here. That's pretty staggering. Just imagine the volume of water that is missing from this reservoir, especially since it slopes out near the top in the fashion that it does. It would contain a lot more water near the top of the reservoir than it does as we get down towards the bottom V of the reservoir here. And we can also see that right in front of us here in this dried up inlet. So I'm going to keep heading this direction, and it actually looks like I have a view of the next boat wreck that I'm looking for. Check that out, sitting in the brush. Yep, that is a big one, just like it looked like on satellite. Let's go check it out. These are some pretty interesting feathers scattered around up here. I wonder what these are too. Almost looks like a tabby cat. Can you see that on the video? Huh. I wonder what kind of bird those are from. Or it almost looks like a monarch butterfly. If you know what might have left these feathers here, let me know. Never know what you're going to find up here. After seeing that, I would expect to maybe see a struggle or a fight that happened and something lying over here. This terrain is very, very rocky. And if you get a look at the ground here, you can tell why they call it Boulder Basin and Boulder Beach, because this is what the whole lake bottom looks like too when you're out there trying to swim. Still very overgrown down here. Look at the difference in landscape. This is why it's easier to get lost down here in the lowlands when you're not up high on the top of those rocky cliffs. As soon as you get down here in the salt cedar and it's over your head, you can't really see anything anymore. That's how stuff gets hidden down here after it sinks so well, because you can barely see in front of us the big boat. Got a big block sitting down here on the way up to the boat right in front of us. Huh. And I don't think this was the engine from that boat, because as you can see right here, there's a chain around it. And from what my viewers have told me, some educated boaters down in the comments, is that they used to use these blocks that were no longer useful as boat anchors for houseboats. So that looks like maybe what has happened here. And like boaters on the channel have pointed out, the telltale sign is that they've removed the oil pan and all the accessories. So how nice, at least they drain the oil before throwing it overboard, right? The thing I don't understand though is, maybe some of your boaters can help out with this also. How is this useful as an anchor? They weren't pulling it back up into the houseboat when they were done every time, right? Were they? Or was it just kind of like thrown overboard and then they attached a buoy to the chain so that they could fish the chain out and hook up to it? I'm kind of curious as to how this would be useful as an anchor if they weren't pulling it up every time. So, question for the boaters, let me know in the comments. But we are about right up on the boat, so let's go. This is a good sized boat here. Stuff scattered all over. What a shame. Wonder what happened to this one. And obviously after it's been sitting out here for so long, it's hard to tell what had happened to these boats. Maybe if you came upon them right when the water level receded, you'd be able to see some obvious signs of damage or something that happened. But this one looks like it's in better shape than the pirate ship, and it almost looks like a similar boat to the pirate ship, maybe a little bit smaller lengthwise. And obviously if you've seen that pirate ship video, you know there was 2 big Caterpillar engines in there and then an auxiliary power unit, so it doesn't look like there was room for that much of a drivetrain in this one, but it is still pretty big for a boat. And just look how far away from the water line we are. And check this out down here. It looks like there was red paint. It's peeling off right here. So maybe this was all red down here on the bottom. And there's some white up here too. Pretty interesting. So if you know any of the stories behind these boat wrecks, like this one or the big old pirate ship that we went to last time, we'd love to hear a story about what happened to these boats, or even just see a photo of them, you know, when they were still seaworthy and they were still on the water. See what they look like in all their glory before they ended up like this. So if you have any information or photos, or might have known any stories behind boats like this, go into our community page and leave a post or comment down here in the video. We'd love to hear it. So our Adventure Club member Dawn was asking if we had seen the other wooden boat in Lake Mead, and I wonder if this is the one she was referencing. I have not been to this one yet. So out of the boat wrecks we have been to, there's 3 wooden ones. This one, the pirate ship that we jet skied to in our latest video, and the Higgins boat that we just visited down there. So very interesting to see the different parts of history down here at Lake Mead. So I think I may also go down and check the boat wreck graveyard while we're out here today. I've heard there was an update, and I want to see what's going on down there on our way out. So let's go back down to the Jeep before it starts getting too toasty out here, and we'll saddle up and we'll head back over to Boulder Harbor and get a little quick update over there before we close out today. All right. We'll see you down there in just a minute. Well, I know I told you we were heading on back, but I took the high road up near the high water line, and looks like I found another boat wreck. I was totally not planning on coming across another wooden boat, and it is very overgrown here, so there's no way you'd be able to see this really on the satellite view. But as I started to poke around back here, I saw a bunch of wood laying here in the brambles. Another wooden boat. Wow, interesting. I wonder if there was like a fleet of these things down here at Lake Mead. And just like the pirate ship, there's some fuel cells sitting back here. And there it is. This one is in pretty bad shape, missing most of the hull here. Oh, Bunny scared the bejeebus out of me. Wow, check that out though. Was totally not expecting to find another wooden boat, but now I need to correct myself, I guess. So now we have 4 wooden boats down here at Lake Mead that I found. Interesting. And just not much left of this one either. Looks like there was some concrete or plaster up in the very front here, but look at that. There's the front of it, and the snapped off, and then there's the rest of the hull. But we are really high up now, even closer to the high water level mark. So if I had to guess, I'd say this is even older than the one we just came from, and definitely older than the pirate ship, which is kind of very low in elevation right down on the water. So pretty neat. Like I said, you never know what you're going to find out here at Lake Mead. And because of how overgrown the salt cedar is down in these lowlands, and then standing on top of the high ridges, sometimes you can't even see this stuff until you actually come down and start poking around in these areas. So who knows? Maybe Jimmy Hoffa is out here somewhere. Not that I'm saying I want to be the one to find him, but sometimes it's just dumb luck when you're wandering around areas that no one would go to for any reason. You just come across stuff like that right down there. Okay, so this time for real, we're gonna head back to the Jeep and saddle up and go check on the boat wreck graveyard. All right. All right, here we are down here at Boulder Harbor. And yep, it looks like everything is gone other than the sailboat. Huh. Let's get out and check it out real quick before it closes you out today. So one of our viewers, Maritime Hub Guy, commented and said to come check out the boat wreck graveyard. It looked like the Park Service had actually removed all the boats now. And well, as you can see, everything is gone except Make Yo Day, the sailboat. Yep, right behind us here was the bottom and top half of Skyward. All gone. So they must have finally found a contractor to come and haul everything out of here at one time. And I'm wondering if that's because they plan on filling the boat wreck graveyard back up with more boat wrecks because of the receding water levels out here at Lake Mead. Remember, we are supposed to lose about another 25 feet, right, through July of 2027. We might even go down as low as 1,015 feet in sea level, above sea level. So right now we're at 1,044 feet, as I pointed out in the beginning of the video. So actually that's about another 30-foot drop here at Lake Mead. So perhaps the Park Service is planning on filling back up some of these spots in the boat wreck graveyard with new finds. And I know some of them are still out there. We're gonna have to go check on Offie soon and see if Offie is still out there. But wondering what's going to happen with Make Your Day here. Other than that, everything else is gone. And get a look at how far away Lake Mead's surface is from where we're standing right now. And like I pointed out in our high water level hike video, where I lined up the photo up here in these hills, that is the high water line right here, stretching all the way around the harbor to the spire on the other side and back up. And so where all the boat wrecks were sitting right now, you can tell from this corrugated ground here, this was the original boat launch for Boulder Harbor here. And even right up where we came down, it says Ready Lane there. So this was indeed where people were getting ready to launch their boats. And behind Walter there, you can see how far away the water level is right now. So we will continue to keep you updated down here at Lake Mead, not only on the water levels in our live streams with those good data-driven stories and news, but also boots on the ground adventures like you saw today to show you visually up close how the water level has changed down here at Lake Mead. We appreciate you all for coming along today, and you're going to see on the side of the screen here, we really appreciate our Adventure Club members. These are the ones that help keep us going through all the thick and thin out here at Lake Mead, keep us producing videos. So we want to give an extra special thanks to all of them. We know you have a lot of places to get your news and entertainment in 2026, and we want to thank you for spending some of that time here with us today. We will see you very shortly next time on Mojo Adventures.